Earlier for pushing back on the nonsensical idea that the Trump administration has somehow been soft on human trafficking, and rightly pointing out that the border is now closed and secure. We know the biggest human traffickers in the world were the cartels. They were making over $13 billion a year trafficking people across our southern border and flooding our country with people who were illegally here. They were massively exploited along the way, and potentially some of that exploitation is still going on, and I'm encouraged by the efforts at all levels to shut that down. So with that, Secretary Hooker, thank you so much for your testimony today and your service in our State Department. I'd like to thank you and Secretary Rubio for your hard work in reorganizing the State Department so that we could put America's interests first with America's resources. So thank you. The reorganization of the Political Affairs Bureau is an important reform, prioritizing regional experts with on-the-ground knowledge and relationships to lead State Department policy. It never made sense to allow anti-growth, climate change activists in the Environmental Bureau to run policy. I've heard from people around the world who felt like they're putting ideology ahead of interest between our country and other countries, as they wanted to have bilateral relations that were focused on real issues. We saw in whether it's environmental policy or social agendas like LGBTQ+, that the administration had a different agenda than just listening and building relationships. So let me turn to Greenland. I'm proud to be the founding chairman of the Congressional Greenland Caucus earlier this year. Arctic security is critical for our national security, and ensuring that we keep Russia and China in their place as we confront not just Arctic security, but Arctic opportunities. And I'm glad there were components of the big, beautiful bill that advanced that. Could you elaborate on how the State Department's working to address that issue?
Thank you, Congressman, for your question and for your comments as well. You've hit on a number of issues that are of great importance to this administration, whether it's supply chain or our security in the Arctic. All of those issues can be found central in Greenland. And our engagement with Denmark continues. As you know, we have a base there in Greenland, which keeps us very tied to it. So I guess the best thing I can say about it is that we're paying close attention to this issue. Our Bureau of European Affairs has under its responsibility Greenland, and will continue to work this issue going forward for the administration.
Thank you so much, and I'd love to build an interface there with the State Department to specifically talk about Greenland issues, both with the people of Greenland and with folks of Denmark. And if we could arrange travel there just to build rapport and relationships, would have a congressional delegation that would love to participate with the State Department in strengthening our ties. As the chairman of National Security and Illicit Finance, every day we have malign foreign actors, and Representative Shreve highlighted one of those issues where you're seeing transnational criminal organizations exploit our seniors. And thank you for highlighting the response there. Do you have any thoughts on how the financial services lane and using all the tools, whether it's OFAC or things that are in Treasury, could work with the State Department to provide additional leverage in your negotiations?
Thank you, Congressman. I think we have to keep all of our tools on the table, so to speak. We have to use all available tools in dealing with these issues. So as we go forward, if there is a need to work with you more closely on that, we're very much interested in doing so.
Thank you for that. And then lastly, I just talk about, Vice President Vance really spoke to, he's from my congressional district, and frankly, if my constituents could have been in Munich, Germany, they might have not said it as eloquently, but we're concerned, what exactly are we defending? When you look at people who are having to flee the United Kingdom, flee Germany, even Poland for asylum in Hungary, where they're defending civil liberties in Hungary. How are you working in the State Department to make sure that the values that we share that defined our alliances are actually still represented in our alliances?
Thank you, Congressman. I don't think I have to say that the United States considers freedom of expression to be a foundational component of our functioning democracy. And so this can be part of our diplomatic engagement with these countries that you just mentioned, that we continue to stand for the very freedoms that we hold dear, and with our fellow democracies around the world, ensure that they continue to see this as a value and that we're emphasizing it.
Thank you so much. My time's expired, and I yield back.
Representative Castro.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman.